This is a magazine review of the Comic Media, issue 11, from December 1973, only a few months, 6 months, after I started collecting comics in earnest. Now, I do remember Comic Media. I quite often would check it out in various shops. It wasn't so easy to get fanzines. I mean, you find, for me, obviously you'd have to get them by the post, but when I went up to like Forbidden Planet, Dark They Were, and Golden Eye, they had the occasional magazines like this, and they were always nice to pick up. And Comic Media was one of those sort of things, I'm quite certain. Though I picked this later at a Comic Mart. So now it's got a lot of great things. It's got adverts for things, and I love all these proprietors, Mike Higgs and Phil Clark, and this is in Birmingham. And then you've got Sidney Jordan, Master of Fantasy. This has got a lovely article about Sidney Jordan. And it's a great article, actually. It's got, let's quickly go through the page. Now, these pages never turn when you want to. You've got Jeff Hawke. Space Rider! You've got a little, lovely article about him. And also The Seekers, another one, obviously, continue there, by J.M. Burns and P. Douglas. And you've got, so they had a lot of these strips. And lots of these, and it's sad to say that most of these strips are very hard to find nowadays, I suppose, unless you find the original newspapers, etc., to find these strips. Because I don't know of many collections. I mean, in America, there's vast amounts of these collections of these newspaper strips, but for some weird reason, not so many here. I mean, there's some, obviously, that have come out over the years, but not familiar with the Seekers, might be, but I've never seen one. The Invaders, maybe it's something to search out for. And Jeff Hawke, of course, and Modesty Blaze. I've seen quite a few of the strips of those. Modesty Blaze, of course, the film as well, and vast numbers of those. Unfortunately, of course, with this magazine, it just ends. It doesn't end with the whole story, so obviously you have to buy next issue. And of course, I haven't got issue 12, but there are, I know, collections of Modesty Blaze. The Look and Learn book of Trigon Empire. Now, there's recently, of course, brilliantly by Rebellion, they're bringing out this brilliant series of Trigon Empire. Got volume 1 so far. Volume 2 is not far off, so I'm really looking forward to that. You got Corto Maltese, that one there. The People's Comic Book. Now, I don't know what that one is. And Dan Dare Annual 1974. Frank Hampson, brilliant. And then you've got Philomene and Martin's Bookshop, 17 Rugby Street, London. So you've got a lovely advert there. And some notification on the phone there. Romeo Brown. And you've also got loads of other ones here. You've got places, obviously, Camberley as well. Comic shop there. And then you've got a Spirit as well. I love Spirit. Spirit is just, by Will Eisner, just one of the best. So brilliant story of the Spirit. And that is complete, which is really nice, all the way through to the back. Now, which one's got the carrion? And then continuing on there and all the way to the last page. And it's also got an advert for brilliant Comic Mart as well. Oh, and Fantasy Centre. Fantasy Harleston. Oh. Fantasy Centre. Now, the Fantasy Centre I knew was in Holloway Road. Obviously, this one in... Anyway, Comic Mart. This one, obviously, in Holborn, Assembly Hall. Now, I never went there. John Muse... Now, obviously, they moved to the Westminster. There was a Central Hall. Then they went to the Trade Union Congress Place and so on and so on. And now, of course, they're at the National. Well, they're not all the same people, but just following the ones at comic conventions that I've been to. I'm certain there's been lots more comic conventions than that, of course. So, brilliant Comic Media. I love these old comic fanzines. Just great for the adverts, great for the articles, but it's just great to read about the what was happening at the time, because people obviously put comments about all the various comics, what was happening in the thing. I didn't like this, I liked this, I didn't like this, and so on and so on. So you can just get that feel for what was popular back in the 1970s, as well as obviously the Jeff Hawke, etc. So brilliant little magazine, Comic Media, 1973.